In this section, we're going to talk about now all our number systems. So all of the numbers we know in our mathematical studies up to this point can be considered real numbers. They're divided into 6 number sets in total. So I want you to think about how you learned numbers now. When we started counting numbers, we started with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. They were numbers greater than 0, but had no decimals or fractions. We're going to call those numbers natural numbers. And mathematicians abbreviate natural numbers using the letter N, an uppercase N. So that's our number system that we learn right from babies. We start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once we understand that we can have none of something, then that's a whole new number system, and that's called the whole numbers. And we'll abbreviate the whole number system with the symbol uppercase W. So that includes 0 and all of the natural numbers, but still no decimals and no fractions. So really the whole numbers, we can think about that as having 0 plus all of the natural numbers. Our third number set, think of a number line. If you draw a number line, you put positives and negatives in there, you put 0 in there, but you have no decimals or fractions. And that number system is called the integers, and we'll abbreviate that one with an uppercase I. The number system now that we have, which can have either decimals and fractions, so parts of wholes, that's called the rational numbers. And you would think that we would use the letter R for rational numbers, but no, we use the letter Q, and I'll explain how we can remember that in a moment. So any number that can be written in the form, think fraction, and the fraction is 2 integers that are being divided. So really, when I look at this, m over n, I'm thinking this is m divided by n, where both of the numerator and denominator are integers. In division, the answer is called a quotient. So when we think about rational numbers, we're looking for, can it be written as a quotient? Can it be written as a fraction? Can it be written as a decimal that terminates or repeats? So 3.2 terminates. If I think about a repeating decimal, I would write it 0.3 repeating. So think of those in your mind as you're trying to decide whether a number is rational or not. Well, if there are numbers that can be written as a fraction, then there are some numbers that cannot be written as a fraction. So these numbers are irrational. And a number can't belong to the rational numbers and the irrational numbers at the same time. You can't be able to write it as a fraction and not be able to write it as a fraction. So the symbol for irrational numbers is take the rational number system and none of those. So it's not rational. Think of numbers that do not terminate or do not repeat. Pi is probably the most famous one. We talked about that one since grade 8. Then we would look at numbers like, what does root 2 look like as a decimal? It does not terminate and it doesn't repeat. And then finally, we talk about all of these numbers together as a set. So all of the numbers we know in our life right now belong to this real number system. And it includes all the rational and all of the irrational.